4 straight titles, a 27-3 season, 8-0 in the finals. The Houston Comets weren't just the WNBA's first dynasty, they were the reason the league survived. Then, in December 2008, that same league suspended the franchise and went silent for 18 years, until someone paid $300 million for the name alone. How a dynasty this dominant gets erased, that's where the real story begins. No franchise in the history of women's basketball ever started with a run like Houston. 4 straight championships, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, each one claimed without a single finals loss. The Comets went 8-0 across those title series, sweeping the Liberty, the Mercury, and then the Liberty again and again. Their 1998 season stands alone. 27 wins, just 3 defeats. No WNBA team has ever matched that 90% winning percentage. That year, Cynthia Cooper was unstoppable, averaging over 22 points a game, winning her 2nd straight league MVP and collecting the finals MVP, the 2nd of 4. She was the closer, the shot maker, the heartbeat in every big moment. Sheryl Swoopes, the first player signed in league history, locked down the perimeter, won Defensive Player of the Year in 1998, and filled the stat sheet every night. Tina Thompson, the rookie picked first overall, gave them power on the block and a sweet shooting touch that stretched defenses thin. Chancellor's sideline presence kept it all moving, his voice the soundtrack to a team that never let up. Night after night, the Compaq Center filled with more than 12,000 fans, sometimes pushing past 16,000 for the biggest games. National broadcasts on Lifetime and ESPN2 drew the highest ratings the league would see for years. A 0.9 rating in 1998, just shy of 1 million households. Sponsors lined up. Kids wore Comets jerseys to school. For 4 summers, Houston was not just the center of women's basketball. It was the proof that the WNBA could work, that women's pro ball could be a spectacle, a business, and a movement all at once. But dynasties do not just end. They get taken apart, piece by piece, until all that is left is the memory of what once felt unbreakable. Kim Perrot was never the tallest or the fastest, but she was the pulse that kept the Comets alive. In early 1999, at just 32 years old, she sat in a consultation room at MD Anderson Cancer Center and listened as doctors delivered news no athlete expects. Advanced lung cancer already spread to her brain. The diagnosis stunned a team built on certainty and swagger. Perrot, who had spent 6 seasons fighting for her place in Europe before coming home to Houston, now faced a battle no sport could prepare her for. She missed most of the 1999 season, her jersey, number 10, hanging in the locker room, her absence a constant ache. Teammates visited her bedside after surgeries, brought game balls to her hospital room, and wore black armbands stitched with her number. In July, Kim made a brief return to the court, waving to a packed Compaq Center crowd that rose in unison, unsure if they were saying hello or goodbye. On August 19, 1999, the Comets faced the Liberty. Kim checked in for her final appearance, scored 8 points, then stood at center court while the crowd roared. Cynthia Cooper later said that the team played for her every single night. Less than a month later, on September 19, 1999, Kim Perrot was gone. The franchise retired her number that fall, the first WNBA jersey ever lifted to the rafters. For Houston, number 10 was not just a number, it was a promise to remember. The dynasty's core had been cracked, and nothing, no matter how many banners followed, could ever make the team whole again. In October 2006, Leslie Alexander, the man who brought the Comets into existence, announced he was putting the team up for sale. The news landed quietly, tucked in the business pages, but for those who had watched the Comets build a dynasty, it felt like the first crack in the foundation. Alexander framed it as a matter of focus. He wanted to concentrate on the Rockets. The message was clear. The WNBA's crown jewel was now a spare part. The Houston Chronicle reported the sale intent, noting that Alexander was looking for a local buyer, someone who would keep the team in the city. But with no public bidding war and no fanfare, the Comets were suddenly on the market, their future uncertain. 3 months later, in January 2007, Chancellor handed in his resignation. The architect of 4 championships, the coach whose sideline voice had defined Houston basketball, stepped away just as the ownership question hung in the air. For the players, it was more than a change in leadership. It was a loss of the only constant they had ever known. In the span of one winter, the Comets lost both the man who signed their checks and the coach who called their plays. The franchise that once set the standard for the league now faced a vacuum at the top. And for the first time, the idea that Houston could lose its team no longer felt impossible. Hilton Koch stepped into the Comets front office with big promises and a $10 million check, but no blueprint for survival in professional sports. His background was furniture, mattress sales, not playoff banners, and within months the realities of WNBA economics came crashing down. The team bled more than $4 million a year, a figure Koch admitted to the Houston Chronicle as he scrambled to cover payroll and arena costs. Corporate sponsors pulled back. Attendance slipped. The Toyota Center's rent outpaced ticket revenue, forcing Koch to relocate home games to Reliant Arena for 2008, a venue less than half the size with none of the old electricity. Then came September. Hurricane Ike ripped through Houston, flooding streets and shuttering venues. The Comets' final home game was not played in Houston at all, but at Texas State's Strahan Coliseum, 2 hours away. Fewer than 1,000 fans made the trip. The box score shows Houston 49, San Antonio 45. But the numbers miss the truth. The Dynasty's last stand happened in Exile, far from the crowd that once roared for them. By season's end, the financial hole was deeper than ever. The league started making calls. Koch tried to find a buyer, but no one wanted the risk. The Comets, once untouchable, now teetered on the edge of oblivion. December 1, 2008. The WNBA issued a press release just after noon, one paragraph, a handful of sentences, and a signature from League President Donna Orender. Effective immediately, the Houston Comets were suspended. There would be no farewell, no final tribute, no chance for fans to gather. Orender's statement cited the inability to find a buyer, the mounting losses, and the extraordinary circumstances of a year that had battered the city and the franchise alike. The Comets players were told their contracts would be honored for just one more week. On December 8th, the league held a dispersal draft, parceling out the roster to the highest bidders among the remaining teams. Sheryl Swoopes went to Seattle, Tina Thompson went to Los Angeles, Taj McWilliams-Franklin went to Washington. The dynasty that once set the standard for women's basketball was erased by administrative decree, its players scattered, its banners boxed up, its memory reduced to a press release and a list of names. Cynthia Cooper called it disturbing news, unable to hide her disbelief. For Houston, for the league, the silence that followed was deafening. For 18 years, Houston waited. The city that once packed the Compaq Center with thunderous crowds became a silent witness to its own erasure. There were no summer nights with championship banners overhead. Those banners, all 4, were boxed up and hidden in storage, and never given a public home. Fans who grew up in the glow of a dynasty watched as the WNBA moved on, leaving their memories behind. The 10th largest media market in the country, a place that once proved women's basketball could fill an arena, was left with nothing but echoes. Each season that passed, the absence grew heavier, a missing piece in the city's identity, a dynasty reduced to a footnote. The Comets' story faded from highlight reels, and league campaigns. But for those who remembered, the silence was a wound that never healed. March 2026. The Houston Rockets, led by Tillman Fertitta, agree to buy the Connecticut Sun for a staggering $300 million. The deal instantly becomes the most expensive in WNBA history, a number that would have sounded like science fiction in the days when the Comets were left to die. Fertitta promises a new era, a return of the Comets name, and a state-of-the-art home in the Toyota Center. But the headlines spark outrage far beyond Houston. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal calls for a Department of Justice review, arguing the sale reeks of monopoly and forgotten promises. The league that once let its greatest team vanish now treats the Comets brand as a luxury asset, trading memory for profit with the stroke of a pen. Today's WNBA is built on star power and billion-dollar media deals, with league leadership promising a new era of stability. Yet, the lesson of Houston lingers. As the spotlight follows Caitlin Clark and a new generation of icons, the question remains, what real protections exist for the teams and players who drive this economy? Commissioner Cathy Engelbert faces a league richer than ever, but history has shown that even a dynasty can be left unguarded. In a business where memory fades fast, who decides which legacies are preserved and which are left behind? 18 years after Cynthia Cooper called the Comets' erasure disturbing news, the WNBA prepares to spend $300 million to resurrect the brand it once discarded. Tina Thompson's words still echo. She said they did not value what that franchise brings. Memory costs more the second time. Who pays the price now?